What is up, YouTube? This is your boy, the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci, and I'm going to be getting into a video that people have requested. This is, of course, the legendary George Carlin. This is a segment he did called Religion is Bullshit. I mean, the things I know about George Carlin is I know about the 7 words you can't say on TV. I don't really know a lot about his stand-up because I came to understand that most of what he did was more like, wasn't really like jokes. He kind of moved towards, what did they say? He kind of moves towards, like, I don't want to say preaching because it's not preaching, but it's more like discussions. He doesn't really, he does funny discussions. Let's put it that way. But from what I've understand, they're very thought-provoking and things like that. And I want to try to see what exactly his arguments for certain things are, and then I'll let you know what my stance on a lot of things are after the video's over. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what it has to offer.
But in the bullshit department, a businessman can't hold a candle to a clergyman. Because I got to tell you the truth, folks. I got to tell you the truth. When it comes to bullshit, big time, major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe of the all-time champion of false promises and exaggerated claims, religion. No contest. No contest. Religion easily has the greatest bullshit story ever told. Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
That's a huge contradiction.
He loves you. He loves you, and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow, just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars. They pay no taxes, and they always need a little more. Now, you talk about a good bullshit story. Holy shit. Thank you. But, thank you very much. But I want you to know something. This is sincere. I want you to know, when it comes to believing in God, I really tried. I really tried. I tried to believe that there is a God who created each of us in his own image and likeness, loves us very much, and keeps a close eye on things. I really tried to believe that, but I gotta tell you, the longer you live, the more you look around, the more you realize something is fucked up. Yeah. Something is wrong here. War, disease, death, destruction, hunger, filth, poverty, torture, crime, corruption, and the ice-capades. Something is definitely wrong.
Do they do the
ice-capades anymore? Good work. If this is the best God can do, I am not impressed.
I haven't heard about
Results
it in
like these do
years.
not belong on the resume of a supreme being. This is the kind of shit you'd expect from an office temp with a bad attitude. And just between you and me, in any decently run universe, this guy would have been out on his all-powerful ass a long time ago. And by the way, I say this guy because I firmly believe, looking at these results, that if there is a God, it has to be a man. No woman could or would ever fuck things up like this.
Pandering to the woman.
If there
Carlin's
is a God, if there is, I think most reasonable people might agree that he's at least incompetent and maybe, just maybe, doesn't give a shit. Which I admire in a person and which would explain a lot of these bad results. So rather than be just another mindless religious robot, mindlessly and aimlessly and blindly believing that all of this is in the hands of some spooky, incompetent father figure who doesn't give a shit, I decided to look around for something else to worship, something I could really count on. And immediately, I thought of the sun. Happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight. You can't see the sun at night. First thing the next morning.
First thing the next morning. I'm going to get on it. I promise.
A sun worshiper. Several reasons. First of all, I can see the sun. Okay?
Wow.
Unlike some other gods I could mention, I can actually see the sun. I'm big on that. If I can see something, I don't know, kind of helps the credibility along, you know? So every day I can see the sun as it gives me everything I need: heat, light, food, flowers in the park, reflections on the lake, an occasional skin cancer, but hey, at least there are no crucifixions, and we're not setting people on fire simply because they don't agree with us. Sun worship is fairly simple. There's no mystery, no miracles, no pageantry, no one asks for money, there are no songs to learn, and we don't have a special building where we all gather once a week to compare clothing. And the best thing about the sun, it never tells me I'm unworthy. Doesn't tell me I'm a bad person who needs to be saved. Hadn't said an unkind word. Treats me fine. So I worship the sun. But I don't pray to the sun. Know why? I wouldn't presume on our friendship. It's not polite. I've often thought people treat God rather rudely, don't you? Asking, trillions and trillions of prayers every day, asking and pleading and begging for favors. Do this, give me that, I need a new car, I want a better job. And most of this praying takes place on Sunday, his day off. It's not nice. And there's no way to treat a friend. But people do pray, and they pray for a lot of different things. You know, your sister needs an operation on her crotch. Your brother was arrested for defecating in a mall.
That all goes into the argument of God's
most
plan
of all, you'd
versus
really
free
like
will
to
and
fuck
everything.
that hot little redhead down at the
Weird.
convenience store. You know, the one with the eye patch and the club foot, huh?
God damn.
Can you pray for that? I think you'd have to. And I say, fine, pray for anything you want. Pray for anything. But what about the divine plan? Remember that? The divine plan. Long time ago, God made a divine plan.
That's
Gave
what I
it a
was
lot
just
of
about to
thought,
talk
decided it was a good plan, put it into practice. And for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan? Just for you? Doesn't it seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else, another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will. Thy will be done. Fine, but if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me. Couldn't you just skip the praying part and go right to his will? It's all very confusing. So to get around a lot of this, I decided to worship the sun. But, as I said, I don't pray to the sun. You know who I pray to? Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci.
Random.
2 reasons. First of all, I think he's a good actor, okay? To me, that counts. Second, he
You don't see him
looks
too
like a
much
guy
anymore.
who can get things done. Joe Pesci
Certain movies
doesn't
are good.
fuck around. Doesn't fuck around. In fact, Joe Pesci came through on a couple of things that God was having trouble with. For years, I asked God to do something about my noisy neighbor with the barking dog. Joe Pesci straightened that cocksucker out with 1 visit. It's amazing what you can accomplish with a simple baseball bat. So I've been
Divine
praying to
baseball
Joe
bat.
for about a year now. And I noticed something. I noticed that all the prayers I used to offer to God and all the prayers I now offer to Joe Pesci are being answered at about the same 50% rate. Half the time I get what I want, half the time I don't.
They say prayer
Same
actually
as
has
God,
a lower rate than that.
50-50. Same as the 4-leaf clover and the horseshoe, the wishing well and the rabbit's foot. Same as the mojo man. Same as the voodoo lady who tells you your fortune by squeezing the goat's testicles. It's all the same, 50-50. So just pick your superstition, sit back, make a wish, and enjoy yourself. And for those of you who look to the Bible for moral lessons and literary qualities, I might suggest a couple of other stories for you. You might want to look at The Three Little Pigs. That's a good one. Has a nice, happy ending. I'm sure you'll like that. Then there's Little Red Riding Hood, although it does have that X-rated part where the big bad wolf actually eats the grandmother, which I didn't care for, by the way. And finally, I've often always drawn a great deal of moral comfort from Humpty Dumpty. The part I like the best, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
They say Humpty
That's
Dumpty
because
made
there
out
is
of
no
an
Humpty
egg.
Dumpty and there is no God. None, not one, no God, never was. In fact, I'm gonna put it this way. If there is a God, may he strike this audience dead. See, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Everybody's okay. All right? Tell you what.
That's the best stuff.
Tell you what. I'll raise the stakes. I'll raise the stakes a little bit. If there is a God, may he strike me dead. See? Nothing happened. Oh, wait. Got a little cramp in my leg. And my balls hurt. Plus, I'm blind.
Must have known to get that checked.
Now I'm okay again. Must have been Joe Pesci, huh? God bless Joe Pesci. Thank you all very much. Joe bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for recommending that to me. That was actually real funny. Yeah, there's a lot of different discussions I get into it. Like I said, I can talk about this for hours. Before I go ahead and give you a little bit of my ideas, I take debate with religion very seriously. I'm not one of them types of people that are like condescending and jokes and makes fun of and all this whole stuff. I'm somebody that just likes listening to logical arguments. And from what I've studied and picked up, when it comes to organized religion, like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, things like that. Judaism a little bit less, but still in the same category. They don't fall in the logical arguments against them, or at least they don't debunk the arguments against them. Like when it comes to whether or not a God actually exists, that is a question that nobody can answer. Anybody that says they know the answer to that question is wrong. Whether they're a hardcore Gnostic atheist or if they're a hardcore Gnostic religious person, that answer is not possible. Unless you know everything in the universe, you cannot answer that question. Ironically, only way to answer that question is if you are a god. You have to be a god to know whether or not a god exists, because you have to know everything about everything. Yeah, when it comes to Christianity, especially because I have a Christian background, I've spent, I want to say at least my first 15 years being very religious, hardcore religious. I was one of them types of people that wouldn't have sex before marriage type religious dudes when I was younger. And as I grew older and I started questioning things, I moved away from that. Mainly because I started getting into certain types of people that specialized in just being logical, whether it's philosophical or scientific or anything. Someone that questions what questions norms and things like that. I follow people like Matt Dillahunty. I follow people like Richard Dawkins. I follow people like Christopher Hitchens. I follow people like Sam Harris. Just a lot of people that just question norms. Hell, I even listen to Ben Shapiro a little bit. I listen to, like I said, anybody that talks logically. Ben Shapiro, he's a little bit too statistic. He doesn't take into account the factors that make statistics what they are. He kind of is too numbers heavy. And it all led me down a path where I started questioning stuff. And then when you start questioning stuff and finding contradictions and things, the first thing I started questioning was the Bible. And when you start finding contradictions, you go back a little bit further to see if there's an answer for that. And a person that really is willing to understand logic is going to have no problem questioning it. If you happen to find yourself finding a contradiction and then you automatically jump back into, well, maybe there's already an answer for that, I don't need to look into it, I'm just going to trust that they know, they've heard this and they know the answer to it. If you do that, you're already falling into a fallacy. Like you already screwing up. Just don't be afraid to ask questions. The reason why religion don't want people to ask questions is because they know that 9 times out of 10 that religion is not going to be able to stand up to the questions that are being asked. I look at the book of Job. That was one of the first things that really made me question God. Like, if you, or at least not God, but the Christian God, if you know all there is to know about everything, but you still want to take a bet with the devil, and you already know the outcome, and you know it's going to cause a person to suffer, I don't give a damn if, oh, well, at the end of it, I'm going to give him twice as much of everything, and I'm going to give him a new family. No, he all his memories are with the old family. His children, his wife, everything. Like, that's where his family is. Like, you can't just give him new kids and think that he's just going to forget about the old ones. That doesn't make sense to me. When it comes to, like, the whole argument of free will versus God's plan, like, I had family members that had cancer and were fighting it for a very long time and eventually passed away. The whole time they were fighting the cancer, you had family members praying and things like that. And at the time, I was religious. I prayed. I prayed a lot. I prayed every single day. I mean, like, literally every single day I prayed. And then in the end, after they passed away, everybody would say, oh, it's what God wanted. It's part of God's plan, this, that, and the other. And logically, I'm thinking, like, well, if that's the case, then why were we praying? If you know that, like, the ending result is going to happen regardless, what is the point of praying? What's the point of prayer, period? If you're one of them people that believe that God has a plan, and this plan is solid, and it knows everything that's supposed to happen, and whether it's something that you see as bad, in the end, it has a good result, it's going to lead to something good, then why do you pray? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, I can go way deeper into it and things like that, but I don't want this video to get any longer. That's been this video. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are Christian or religious or like Muslim or anything like that, just know I'm not attacking you personally. Like, I can see the benefits of certain religions, but at the same time, I don't believe that, like, oh, well, you need religion to be moral or anything like that. Like, you can be atheist and moral as well. Religion wasn't the founding thing that made morality. Humanity had morality before religion was created. But like I said, at the same time, I understand if you are religious, if you feel like you need certain things to, validate the way you are as a person, or like your beliefs and things like that. I'm not going to question it. I'm not trying to convert anybody to atheism or anything like that. But I just appreciate debate. Anyway, like I said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. If you want to see more content, stay tuned. I got a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have planned, posted up soon, and I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next video. So that's been the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I'll see you on the next video. Deuces.